Two things have changed. Two housekeeping things. One, I had my hair cut this morning. I have not yet washed it and styled it myself, so I'm not entirely sold on this. This is giving me very like 90s hairspray situation. This is just my hair being bouncy. I've got an insufferable cowlick that won't stop cowlicking. Second thing is that I burst my stress toy thing that keeps my hands busy during videos. So if you see me fidgeting a lot or playing with my scrunchie, that's what I'm doing. I'm just trying to keep my hands busy. Okay, let's talk about all the book releases that I'm excited for that are coming out this year. I have a list in front of me. This is why I keep turning around. 3 of them come out this month, but I haven't bought them yet, so I'm still excited for them and I'm counting them. The first one on my list is Dragonfall by Laura Lamb, or L.R. Lamb. I have next to no memory about what these books are about or why I put them on my TBR, so I'm gonna read you the blurb and let the blurb do its job. I'll be honest, the main thing that drew me to this book is that there's a very nice dragon on the cover. Can't go wrong with the dragon. So long ago, humans betrayed dragons, stealing their magic and banishing them to a dying world. Centuries later, their descendants worship dragons as gods, but the gods remember and they do not forgive. Thief Arcady scrapes a living on the streets of Fatra. Desperate, Arcady steals a powerful artifact from the bones of a plague bringer, the most hated person in Lumet history. Only Arcady knows the artifact's magic holds the key to a new life among the nobles at court and a chance for revenge. The spell connects to Everin, the last male dragon foretold to save his kind, dragging him through the veil. Dragging, that wasn't a pun. Disguised as a human, Everin soon learns that to regain his true power and form and fulfill his destiny, he only needs to convince one little thief to trust him enough to bond completely, mind, body and soul, and then kill them. Yet the closer the two become, the greater the risk both their worlds will shatter. This sounds like Eragon, but so much better. And it's been a hot second since I read a dragony book which had sufficient dragons in it. So I'm excited for this one. Next up on my list is Untethered Sky by Fonda Lee. Again, the cover of this one really got me because it's a giant bird and she's on some kind of sky ship and there's hair flowing and she's Titanicking her way through life and it's great. This is only short, it's 152 pages, and the blurb reads: Esther's family was torn apart when a manticore killed her mother and baby brother, leaving her with nothing but her father's painful silence and a single overwhelming need to kill the monsters that took her family. Esther's path leads her to the King's Royal Mews, where giant rocks of legend are flown to hunt manticores by their brave and dedicated Rookas. That's either a typo or a fantasy word. Paired with a fledgling rock named Zara, Esther finds purpose and acclaim by devoting herself to a calling that demands absolute sacrifice and a creature that will never return her love. The terrifying partnership between woman and rock leads Esther not only to the Empire's most dangerous manticore hunt, but on a journey of perseverance and acceptance. I mean, if they can cram all that into 52 pages, I'll be really impressed. But again, if it's not a dragon, I'll take a giant bird. I don't think all of these are about riding giant fantasy creatures, but you never know. I haven't read anything else by Fonda Lee, but I know that a lot of her books are very popular with people. So I'm going to assume from that she is a good writer and that I will enjoy this. My next book is Witch King by Martha Wells. Honestly, it was the title that drew me to this one because Angmar. Now, I have tried the Murderbot series and I didn't like it, but this sounds more fantasy. Witch King is Martha Wells' first new fantasy in over a decade. So yeah, it's more fantasy and I think I will enjoy that more. Kyenna is the Witch King, though he hasn't always been, and he hasn't even always been Kyenna. After being murdered, his consciousness dormant and unaware of the passing of time while confined in an elaborate water trap. Don't know what that means. Kai wakes to find a lesser mage attempting to harness Kai's magic to his own advantage. That was never going to go well. But why was Kai imprisoned in the first place? What has changed in the world since his assassination, and why does the Rising World Coalition appear to be growing in influence? Kai will need to pull his allies close and draw on all his pain magic. Interesting. if he is to answer even the least of these questions, he's not going to like the answers. I like that this one's coming from a place of the main character's already a seriously powerful person, if that makes sense. Like, it doesn't sound like he's got to go through that, like, training montage to get good at stuff. I like training montages, don't get me wrong, but they're in a lot of books and this seems a little bit different. And I'm into it. I also want to know why he's called a Witch King and what that entails. Also, how does a water trap work? Are we talking like Avatar: The Last Airbender? I don't know. Anyway, that comes out on May 30th. So that's, yeah, that's not out at the time that I am currently filming this. Next for the June books, we've got 2 of them. So the first one is on June 6th. We've got Slewfoot by Brom. Now, I've heard people talk about Brom, but I've never read anything by him. Yeah, the cover got me on this one because it just looks like a painting you would see in an art gallery. And it took me a second to realise that she's got hooves as well, which is clever. So this is set in Connecticut. Connecticut? It sounds really silly when you say it in an English accent. Connecticut, 1666. An ancient spirit awakens in a dark wood. The wild folk call him Father, Slayer, Protector. The colonists call him Slewfoot, Demon, Devil. To Abatha, a recently widowed outcast, alone and vulnerable in her pious village, he is the only one she can turn to for help. Together they ignite a battle between pagan and Puritan, one that threatens to destroy the entire village, leaving nothing but ashes and bloodshed in their wake. This terrifying tale of bewitchery features more than 24 of Brom's haunting paintings, fully immersing readers in this wild and unforgiving world. Yes, I remember this now because he is the painter. That makes more sense. I'm even more excited for this now. I love it when adult books are illustrated because they're always really cool. It's also been a minute since I read a Deal with the Devil kind of book as well, so that could be fun. The second June book we've got coming out on June 15th is Morgan Is My Name by Sophie Keach. So it's an atmospheric feminist retelling of the early life of famed villainess Morgan Le Fay, set against the colourful chivalric backdrop of Arthurian and legend. When King Uther Pendragon murders her father and tricks her mother into marriage, Morgan refuses to be crushed. Trapped amid the machinations of the men in a world of isolated castles and gossiping courts, she discovers secret powers. Vengeful and brilliant, it's not long before Morgan becomes a worthy adversary to Merlin, influential sorcerer to the king. But fighting for her freedom, she risks losing everything: her reputation, her loved ones, and her life. I have always loved stories about Morgan Le Fay. I think I read the Marion Zimmer Bradley books ages and ages ago, probably when I was still a little bit young to understand them. But I love stories about Morgan and Merlin. Don't really care too much about Arthur and Guinevere or any of the knighty chivalry stuff, but this sounds like a really good feminist retelling, and that is what I'm interested in. So I hope it's good. There's only one book coming out in August, and that is Thornhedge by T. Kingfisher. That's coming out on August 15th. This is an auto-buy because it's T. Kingfisher. Also, the main character is called Toadling. How fucking cute is that? Okay. There's a princess trapped in a tower. This isn't her story. Meet Toadling. On the day of her birth, she was stolen from her family by the fairies, but she grew up safe and loved in the warm waters of fairyland. Once an adult, though, the Fae asked a favour of Toadling: return to the human world and offer a blessing of protection to a newborn child. Simple, right? If only. Centuries later, a knight approaches a towering wall of brambles where the thorns are as thick as your arm and as sharp as swords. He's heard there's a curse here that needs breaking, but it's a curse Toadling will do anything to uphold. It sounds like such a cool retelling of Rapunzel with changelings in it. Like, what's not to like? And I just can't get over that she's called Toadling. I would read it for that alone, regardless of plot. Then we've got Starling House by Alex E. Harrow coming out on October the 31st on Halloween. I have decided that I'm reading Alex E. Harrow's backlog after I read Once and Future Witches. And I'm very excited about this. So the blurb reads: step into Starling House if you dare. No one in Eden remembers when Starling House was built, but everyone agrees that it's best to let the house and its last lonely heir go to rot. Starling House is uncanny and ugly and full of secrets, just like its heir. Opal knows better than to mess with the haunted houses or brooding men, but it might be a chance to get her brother out of Eden. It feels dangerously like something she's never had, a home, but Opal isn't the only one interested in the house or the horrors and wonders that lie beneath it. If Opal wants a home, she'll have to fight for it. She'll have to dig up her family's ugly history and let herself dream of a better future. She'll have to go down into Underland and claw her way back to the light. And it's described as a sweeping gothic fairy tale. I have absolutely no idea what the plot is from that, but it sounds gothic and cool, and I like haunted houses, so I'm going to read it anyway. Then we got, on November the 7th, we've got Bookshops and Bone Dust, which is the second book in the Legends and Lattes series. Viv's career with the notorious mercenary company Rackham's Ravens isn't going as planned. Wounded during the hunt for a powerful necromancer, she's packed off against her will to recuperate in the sleepy beach town of Merk, so far from the action that she worries she'll never be able to return to it. What's a thwarted soldier of fortune to do? Spending her hours at a beleaguered bookshop in the company of its foul-mouthed proprietor is the last thing Viv would have predicted, but it may be both exactly what she needs and the seed of changes she couldn't possibly imagine. Still, adventure isn't all that far away. A suspicious traveller in grey, a gnome with a chip on her shoulder, a summer fling, and an improbable number of skeletons prove Merk to be more eventful than Viv could ever have expected. It sounds exactly like Legends and Lattes, just with different elements, and there's an owl pug on the cover, which I think is going to go on the list of things that will make me automatically want to read a book, and I think that's very reasonable. So my next book is Godly Heathens by H.E. Edgman, which comes out on November 28th. I know nothing about this, I don't think. This was one that like popped up on one of many reading lists on TikTok, maybe. But that cover is very cool and I like it a lot. The blurb reads, Jem Eccles is a non-binary Seminole teen living in the tiny town of Gracie, Georgia. Known for being their peers' queer awakening, Jem leans hard on charm to disguise the anxious mess they are beneath. The only person privy to their authentic self is another trans kid, Enzo, who's 1,000 long, painful miles away in Brooklyn. But even Enzo doesn't know about Jem's dreams, haunting visions of magic and violence that have always felt too real. So how the hell does Willa Mae Hardy? The strange new girl in town acts like she and Jem are old companions and seems to know things about them that they've never told anyone else. When Jem is attacked by a stranger claiming to be the goddess of death, Willa Mae saves their life and finally offers some answers. She and Jem are reincarnated gods who've known and loved each other across lifetimes. But Jem, or at least who Jem used to be, hasn't always been the most benevolent deity. They've made a lot of enemies in the pantheon, enemies who, like the goddess of death, will keep coming. It's a good thing they've still got Enzo, but as worlds collide and the past catches up with the present, Jem will discover that everyone has something to hide. So that starts off sounding like it's a John Green book, which I've grown out of, right? But then it brings in death gods. Bless you. And heightens the stakes. And I'm not 100% convinced this is going to be like a 5-star or anything, but I'm intrigued enough to want to give it a go. So yeah, those are all the books coming out this year that I'm really excited for. I've pre-ordered 7 of them. So yes, I'm excited for those. Let me know if you've pre-ordered any as well, or if there's any others along those lines that are coming out that I've just missed. That'd be great. Thanks.